Gloomy here. Lyle's giving you a better look at these dark storm clouds overhead. We are off of the 8 near the Magnolia exit here. Cars are still driving through these highly saturated roads. I want to give attention to this. There is a creek flowing here, and it is filling quite quickly here in the El Cajon area. I'm sure a lot of these residents were a little fearful when they got that notification come on their phone that there was a tornado warning. I mean, I've never lived through a tornado, and I was even a little scared about it. I had to ask one of our producers, what is the best way to educate our viewers? Because a lot of us in Southern California, we aren't used to getting those on our cell phone. I think that the best way to prepare is to really stay calm and have a go bag if necessary if you are in an area that is prone to flooding in the San Diego area. And we do know that that tornado warning has expired since then. People on our roadways, there's not too many right now in the El Cajon area, not as much traffic on the 8 as we are used to seeing. Today is really a good day to stay home out here. It is fairly chilly and the rain has let up just a little bit. There is a little bit of a break in this rain, but about 10 minutes ago, there was a downpour here. For now, live in El Cajon, Sierra.
All right, yeah, that was Sierra Encinas reporting in El Cajon. And you can just see, Jared, depending on where you are in the county, you either get rain or you get scenes like this. Again, this is a live look from Jenny Creighton in our 10 News Breaking News Tracker, looking at the 52 right now, and it is pouring.
And that really tracks if you look at the bottom left of your screen, that radar. There are some areas that are clear and others that have that long line of yellow and red, which is heavy downpours. And you look at some of the 24-hour totals of the rain right now. Mission Valley, 2 inches in the last 24 hours. Santee, 1.9. Escondido, 1.5. Carlsbad, 2. Oceanside, 2.4. So we are seeing wide varying degrees of how much rain just based on where you are. But if you are near where that long line of storms is moving through, or if you are east of it right now, you need to prepare for a heavy band of rain over the next 30 to 45 minutes as it pushes across the county.
Yeah, 1242. Speaking of the roadways, we want to check in with Jake Sanchez with the CHP. Unfortunately, with the weather conditions this morning, we saw at least one deadly crash. Jake, I know you guys are very busy there. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us what we're seeing on the roadways right now? How many crashes are you responding to at this point?
I mean, obviously crashes are up. Anytime we have weather like this, our crashes are going to be up. Want the motorists out there to heed all the warnings that are going on. If you don't have to be out there on the roadways, don't. If you don't need to be out there going places, don't. Today's not the day to do that. Slow down if you have to go anywhere. Do not drive into water that that you don't know how deep it is. Those are the types of things you need to avoid.
So, Jake, you mentioned all of those warnings and things that people need to be aware of today. From CHP's perspective, when you know that there's a day like this on its way, we heard earlier from the fire department, from the transportation department about the extra crews they put out. What does CHP do to ramp up not just enforcement but public safety efforts when this storm is hitting?
So on days like this, most of us we just know that we're going to be working all day. We're going to be out there, from the day the shift starts to the very end of the shift. We're out there call to call all day. Our officers are out there. The fire department's out there. Tow officers, Caltrans, we're all out there. We're exposed to traffic. And so we ask the motorists too also to be aware of that. You're going to have a lot of people out there on the side of the highways. Please slow down. Please move over if you can. Be aware of those emergency lights. Be aware of the emergency personnel that'll be out there. Again, we're in a very compromised position when we're out there on the roadways, especially on days like this. 100%. So please slow down. Please heed those warnings. Again, we just had that tornado warning that just came through. So be aware of those things as they're happening. And again, if you don't have to be out there, again, push those things off to later in the week if you can. And just be safe, please, when you're out there on the roadways.
Absolutely. We're telling people, Jared, to stay home, but the people who don't have a choice are our first responders and folks like the CHP who are responding to these crashes. So as you heard Jake say, definitely, if you do have to drive, you see those emergency crews, you see broken down vehicles on the side of the road, move over so that they can safely respond to those emergencies.
Now let's get it over to Natalie Chuck right now, who is tracking the movement of this storm. We see the radar picture as the storm kind of gives you a wide view of what the entire Southern California area is dealing with right now. Los Angeles still getting lots of heavy rain, and Natalie, now we're getting a taste of what kind of LA has been dealing with for the last 2 or 3 days.
Hey there, Jared. Yeah, absolutely. And we've been seeing so much devastation coming out of Los Angeles, and we had this here in South Crescent, southeastern San Diego 2 weeks ago. And of course, we're all just kind of hoping for a break. I know there's a lot of anxiety in the air right now as we continue to see these storms roll through for a lot of people here in San Diego County, spanning all across the area. But you can see those lightning bolts popping up not only off the coast of LA, but if you take a look, they're sitting right on top of San Diego County. So I do want to give you a look and zoom in. Of course, we just had Megan on air and she was discussing this portion being a real concern for people down in the South Bay. I know a lot of people down in San Ysidro have been hoping for a break. I go down to a lot of those ranches on a regular basis and they're just hoping to avoid flooding, but there is a high likelihood that that is also going to happen today. But we don't have any flash flood warnings down there. We just have that flood watch across the county when it comes to all of that. I do want to try to bring you up to speed with our rain cloud futurecast. I'm going to try to stop it in certain parts to give you a really good look, but this is starting right now. And then if we zoom in a couple of hours, we're going to continue to see that heavy pocket of rain sitting right on top of Ramona area, sort of the East County. Maybe the coast is going to get a bit of a break, and that's kind of consistently been what we're seeing, is that as soon as this storm system moves east, it does sort of weaken a little bit. So that is why we saw that tornado warning take a pause and be turned off by the National Weather Service quicker than we were expecting. It was supposed to be extended till 12:45, but as Sierra said, it is over now. So as we continue to roll throughout the night, we're going to continue to see some more scattered showers and isolated storms roll throughout the county. We were really hoping these were going to break apart by this afternoon, but here we are. We're sitting in it right now and not getting much of a break. I mean, Jared, we just heard that rain coming down on our building out here in San Diego, and it sounded crazy out there. So of course, as we roll into Wednesday, we're still expecting another storm system. So everybody really needs to be prepared to have a wet week ahead for all of us. It's not really going to end. And of course, I want to remind everybody of these flood advisories, warnings, watches, everything that is going on across the county right now. So I was able to update these graphics to kind of give you a better look at when these things are going to expire. This light green, this teal, is this flood advisory. We have it in effect for most of the county until 3:30 this evening, but we've just continued to see that be extended. So of course there is a chance that that is going to last through the night tonight, given just how much water we are expecting to see. We have that flood warning in effect in that light lime green, if you can see it within the teal sort of color, stretching all the way out now towards kind of El Cajon. That is because of the San Diego River. We've seen flooding there already today. We've seen people get turned around that are near the Fashion Valley Mall. That is an area you absolutely want to avoid. We try to avoid it on a regular day of storms, let alone on a day like this. And then if you take a look at our winter weather advisory, that's going to start 10 o'clock at night. Of course, not nearly as much damage there as we are seeing right now, but the snow is always a concern for people in our mountain areas. You could see some slick, icy conditions, and that could linger really for a whole nother day. So you need to be prepared for that. And then moving you up to the North County, we do still have this flash flood warning in effect, which is absolutely concerning for areas like Camp Pendleton, as well as Fallbrook, and really nudging up on Oceanside. We've seen low visibility out there for drivers for quite some time throughout the day. So again, the moral of the story, we've been saying it all day long, is just stay home if possible. And then this is a new one. We also have this aviation weather warning in effect until 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we are seeing some flights already being impacted by this storm coming out and into San Diego. These are typically issued when these weather conditions are hazardous for the airports. So we're seeing this all across the county, not just localized to the coast of San Diego, not just near the international airport, but all of San Diego County being impacted right now by this aviation weather warning. So not only is it not a time to drive, Jared and Nell, it's also absolutely not an ideal time to fly right now.
couple updates here at 12:49 on this early or Tuesday afternoon now. We want to let you know the local assistance center. This is from Mayor Todd Gloria. It is going to be open today at 1 p.m. It's going to remain open until 7 p.m. and that is at Mountain View Recreation Center.
It's an important change that the city announced because initially that was going to be closed all day today, opening it now because obviously there is a need again for people to find a place to go. And the city's website also has the information about if you need to get to a shelter. They have those open at Balboa Park. There are rides available as well. Right. We are seeing, after several days of rain, some of the things we feared might happen are starting to crop up across San Diego County. We have a report of a mudslide on the 67.
We can bring the Live Center up.
Yeah, if we can bring the Live Center up, I can pinpoint where this is. This is near Woodside Avenue and Riverford Road. So you see the 67 of those green or those gray lines right through the middle. Just off of that, there are reports of mud and dirt and rock falling onto the road. Meanwhile, a possibility of a sinkhole on the 163 near Robinson. People are reporting that a sinkhole may be starting to form on the 163 south, just north of Robinson. Things to look out for on the roads now, because after day after day after day of rain, you will start to see potholes. If they formed the other day, they're going to get bigger today. The sinkholes that we were worried about, some mudslides, and of course, always as you're driving around or walking around, if you're out in the storm right now, watch for trees and watch for signs that trees may be ready to fall. We talk to arborists about this all the time. If you see a tree leaning unnaturally or if it looks like it's weighted to one side, steer clear of those types of trees. Don't park your car near them or near any trees that look like they could be off-weighted.
Yeah, and I don't know if we still have our 10 News Breaking News Tracker driving shot here as we get closer to the 1 o'clock hour, but our Jenny Creighton, you can see there, she's giving us a pretty good view of what's happening on the roadways as we continue on into our Tuesday afternoon. And that's the point that Jared was mentioning here, is that even though it's not actively raining, and as the rain starts to taper off over the next few days, the issues that we are going to be dealing with, mudslides still a threat, and also the downed trees. We've seen that. We reported on the large tree that fell in a North Park, on a North Park home earlier this week. And unfortunately, with just so much saturation, our ground so wet, I would be surprised if we didn't see a little bit more of that, Jared.
Absolutely. It's always a danger anytime it rains. When we get this much rain, it heightens that possibility. So we are staying on for extended coverage through this storm. As we saw on the radar, that band of rain moving through San Diego County, now kind of out into the El Cajon area. We have crews fanned out all across San Diego right now that will bring us reports from wherever they are on how things look. We saw Sierra earlier and it looked clear in El Cajon. Radar showing now that it's starting to rain there. We have Danny Miskell, who is in the East County as well, gathering information
Steele
from
Canyon High School.
Steele Canyon High School.
And we do have Natalie. She has been updating us on the weather conditions. And Natalie, we talked about the emergency crews also preparing for stuff like this. San Diego Fire, there was a news conference within the last hour or so. They said they have 8 swiftwater rescue teams ready to go 24 hours a day. So they're beefed up when it comes to staffing here as we continue with this wet weather, the severe weather that we're dealing with, Natalie.
Yeah, and I mean, rightfully so, Mel. You know, back on the 22nd, we saw so many rescues happening, and you know, that wasn't really necessarily a day that everyone was expecting to be as heavy as it was. So now we're all on high alert and really staffed up and geared up for what is coming. And good to know that our first responders have their crews out there, that the city is working to get resources out to people that they need. But again, I want to give everybody a look at our rain cloud futurecast of what is to come, because this storm, while it has been stalling over us for about 48 hours at this point, it is making its way out. Like Megan was saying earlier today, it's hopefully going to slowly but surely make its way out as we head into the afternoon. You see lighter pockets of this storm system, not quite as dense as we have been seeing over the past couple of hours as I scoot forward for you on our futurecast. And then look at this by 4:30. Again, some of us could be dealing with a difficult time down there on the South Bay in Chula Vista along the border. We could see heavy rain as well as along our mountain areas. So that is something that people definitely want to avoid. You definitely want to be inside by 5 o'clock tonight. And unfortunately, this is really going to be the rinse and repeat case for the next 24 hours. We're going to get a bit of a break right here around 6 o'clock this evening. But then as we roll slowly but surely into Wednesday, look at this. All of this is coming back overnight Wednesday night and we will expect to maybe see some of these advisories, watches, and warnings continue into tomorrow. We know that flood watch is set to expire at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. But there is absolutely a very good chance that that gets extended and lasts a little bit longer. So wanting to give you another look, launching our satellite radar and kind of looping it over the past couple of hours, just to give you some perspective of exactly how much we are still expecting to see. If I scoot this map down, you can see just how much of the storm has been sitting off the coast and is making its way over us. But it does kind of look like hopefully this is one of the last systems before we get a little bit of a break like we saw earlier today. It's been kind of spotty here and there. And then over the last hour and a half has just been really, really intense for everybody. And wanting to kind of zoom in and give you all a better look. Camp Pendleton and Oceanside definitely getting hammered up there, as you can see. And then that curve kind of hitting down here in downtown San Diego as well, bringing us these thunderstorms, causing a lot of problems at the airport, absolutely. And so it's always a danger, always a concern. Anytime we see weather like this, especially in San Diego, we have seen the infrastructure and how it has handled it over the past couple of weeks. So people, I can only imagine, are absolutely concerned with what this is going to leave behind as the storm makes its way out. Not to mention, we don't really get a break until Saturday and Sunday from this wet weather. It's just going to continue coming. And again, I want to zoom in even further for you down into Chula Vista, National City. You can see as we've been tracking this, that yellow and orange and red, indicative of a really heavy storm system, is actually kind of moving east, Mel and Jared. As you can see, it was sitting right on top of National City, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, but it is slowly making its way southeast, now sitting more so right over the border. And it looks like even some of those thunderstorms are subsiding as we watch this. It's always good to be able to watch these models and see them update in real time, like we did with that tornado warning as it disappeared. And now we're continuing to track these other warnings and watches. But the moral of the story is just stay off the roads as much as possible, because, Jared, we can see some traffic over there right now.
I want to mention really quick, there is some roadway flooding reported here. This is on the 5. A lot of it we're seeing up in the North County. Some flooding there on the 5 North by Harbor. We're dealing with some flooding there near the 76. So at last check, crews were working to clear. There was reported that a couple vehicles were stalled in the water. So last check, it does appear that CHP is on scene, and we are seeing reports, Jared, of some rocks starting to come down from hills there. This is in the East County, Woodside Avenue, and also Riverford Road.
And you talk about the flooding that we have seen, and so I want to bring up in our live center, if we could, in just a second, the cameras that we've gotten from San Diego County with, Quarry Road and other places like that. We don't have that right now as I search for it on our computer, but we are seeing that flooding all across San Diego County on roadways that usually flood, the Mission Valley area behind Fashion Valley Mall, places like that traditionally get a little bit of water running over them. They're seeing a lot of water running over them right now. And you look at our freeway maps right now from our traffic computer, and you see all that yellow. That's all slowing on the roads. Any triangles or alerts on there also are incidents that Highway Patrol has notified us about. So it's a day to stay home. Even as things start to clear up, you never know when that next cell is going to move in.
Yeah, and as we wrap up here for our extended coverage of ABC 10 News Midday, we do want to remind you we are constantly updating our website, also sending out push alerts. You can sign up for that, our website, 10news.com, while we are off the air. We do have our next newscast coming up at 4 o'clock, but in the meantime here, over the next couple of hours, Jared, you want to make sure to stay safe on the roadways. We always advise to drive in the middle lane if you can, and just be careful if you see any of that ponding on the road.
Yep, slow down. If your wipers are on, your lights should be on as well. Drive safe. Check on your friends and neighbors as well throughout the day. Make sure everyone else is okay. Thank you for staying with us as we bring you extended coverage as this storm really slams into San Diego this afternoon.
Stay safe and stay dry. Have a good afternoon.